Hey guys, so I wanted to do another update because it's been a minute. Um, I don't even know what to say. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm officially halfway through obesity, which is insane. Definitely crazy. Definitely not. I didn't expect to go through this as fast, but again, I think it's because I think that morbid obese stage was so difficult to get past. Like, I remember, like, a lot of times when I would try to lose weight, I would start to approach morbid, and the weight loss would slow down and things would just kind of shift and it would stop, even if the effort didn't stop. And I see now that that was because of a lot of swelling that occurred during that phase. And because I got out, basically, it started to shift and it's more similar now, weight loss wise, to when I was super morbidly obese, where it's a little bit more linear. Things are kind of happening as you'd expect it to. You know, if you stick to the deficit, I'm losing about that 2 pounds or so a week, which is typical, which is what I'm counting for. And I definitely have been lowering my calories, which we're going to have to talk about that too. So I think at this point, I've definitely reached what I've been calling a weight loss spiral, which is basically where, because I started to depoof, which is what I call it when I deswell, I started to depoof. All the swelling went away in October. I had to lower my calories because I weighed less. And basically, when you lower your calories, then it causes you to lose faster. So it creates a little bit of a spiral where it starts to really speed up. When it was kind of slow throughout the summer months this year, or slower, it started to speed up a lot getting towards autumn. And I have been definitely, it's still hard, but it's hard to say it's difficult when after what I've been through. It's like still nothing compared to what I've been through. That's what I can honestly say. But I still have had a lot of like practical issues in life, and like I had to get my car fixed, and there are just certain things I had to do that were huge stressors. Had to catch up on rent and do all this stuff post doing that, and had to find the energy within, and I was able to. You know, it's like my body was healthy enough to get me through that, and that is something I'm not used to. I'm really not. You know, a lot of stuff in my life has had to be so regimented for such a long time, and to be able to kind of shift things around and get myself into a better position due to physical health improvements is major. So I'm definitely more optimistic, but I still have some hormonal stuff going on, and I do want to talk about that because we are getting deeper into autumn. We're getting deeper into November. And basically, November, last year I gained a lot of weight in November. So I'm a little bit concerned. I have been pretty much the whole time, but so far so great. I have continued to lose. I'm at 255 now, which is amazing. I'm almost to 250. That's crazy. Like, we're almost to a point where 300 is going to be farther away than 200. And that's something I don't know. I never thought possible prior. You know, again, I'm not as tortured as I used to be. I don't think like, oh, it's impossible. Like, I don't think of that anymore. I'm very much just like, no, this is possible and it's happening, period. That's kind of how I view it. So I don't speculate a lot or think a lot about like my current weight loss journey. There are moments where I think about the past a lot, and I think about how I used to be, and I feel angry towards that. I did make a post when I posted the weight loss. I do feel angry often, especially in the morning, which one of you guys I was chatting with on Instagram, and she's like, ah, yes, the estrogen cortisol alarm clock. That has definitely been a thing. So I've been getting up really early in the morning, like 6:30 in the morning, early, going to bed around midnight. Like, my sleep schedule has shifted. I think that that's due to seasonal shifts and maybe hormonal shifts, being out of morbidity. It's just different. You're supposed to get up in the morning. So if you're staying up all night, it's a sign that you're a little bit more hypolicious than if you were getting up in the morning. So it's actually a good sign that I'm getting up in the morning, but there is major estrogen cortisol in the morning, and I am like mega bitch when I wake up. Like super angry, and like I wake up just with rage every single morning, pretty much, which is wild. I think last night too I was kind of thrashing a little bit, where I was like, because I woke up on the other side of the bed, and like when I do all that, I'm like, ooh, I'm having a little bit of restlessness. I'm gonna get back to the gym. I had to stop going to the gym around Halloween because I had to like really work so much. So typically this time of the year I would start to drop off of the gym, and I would start to drop off of certain things, but I'm gonna keep going this year because I'm in a better position. And I want to just knock this out of the park. I know that a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but sometimes people get concerned when you say things like that, because they're like, oh gosh, like, are you getting into the other side of, ED, or are you being too much? I don't think so, because it's 2 pounds a week, you guys. Like, it's nothing, it's all like objective, done with numbers, that kind of stuff. Like, I'm slowly adjusting my calories. Like, when I lose a pound, I go down by like 10 calories a day, something like that. Like, it's very objective, the way that I'm doing it. But I have been able to stay strict, and I think I've definitely had to rely on discipline more the healthier I get. And like yesterday, I really wanted to just eat more. I was a little bit hungry, but I just had some hot sauce, which I know is weird, but I had some hot sauce. I needed salt. I had the hot sauce, my hunger went away. And I was like, oh no, you're not hungry. So just don't. So I didn't. I have been craving salt a lot. There's probably some adrenaline going on. There's probably some stuff going on. Especially when I was really overworking, because I couldn't take a day off for like over a week. And I have a physical job, so I had to like keep going. I was very like stressed, like to the point where my body wanted pickle juice, and I drank a whole jar of pickle juice. I wanted that much salt. So I am definitely craving salt. I know I'm stressed. I know that I'm putting my body through some kind of stress right now. But again, I think within obesity, we do have to challenge ourselves a little bit. I'm not fragile. I'm not a hothouse flower anymore. Like, I'm not super morbidly obese. If I was, it'd be different. I'd probably have to slow down, or, I'd have to change, make certain shifts, which a year ago I was, and I had to shift. I couldn't do it. But this year it's like, no, you go, I think a lot of times people, they don't like it if you're a little bit harsher with yourself, but I think I need to be. I think in my brat era, or my, my brat city, as I've called it on here, I think in that era, I need to be a little bit harsher to get through, because I think what people don't understand is like when you're out of these like super intense, like physical health issues, mental health issues, when you're out of all these things, it's very easy to become complacent in obesity. It's very easy to be like, oh, da da da. And I don't want to be complacent. It's like, no, I'm going to keep going. It's still affecting my health. I still have symptoms of obesity, but they're a lot less. Like, I still get a little bit tingly in my hands. I still have restlessness, low dopamine symptoms. I still have, my moodiness is still there. Like, I'm still hypo, but I'm also like chill a lot of the time. I'm a lot less out of control. I don't know how else to say it, but I'm, in both ways. Like, I'm not overly rigid or like trying to be perfect all the time like I was last year. And I'm also not just off the rails like I was in 2022. I've found a balance where it's like, I'm not a people pleaser. I don't care. But also, I don't have to go crazy because I also don't care. Like, I'm not compensating for anything, if that makes any sense. So that's really been my kind of like emotional pitch most of the time. My hormones do shift throughout the day, and it does affect my mood. Like I said, I wake up really angry, and then I'm fine in the daytime, and then towards the nighttime, I can get a little bit irritable again at night. So my hormones are really flagrant still. They're very like strong. And I'm really like at the limit of what my body can do because it's a lot. Like I still get facial flushing, some tingles. I still have a lot of the serotonin symptoms. You know, I can get a little bit sad or despondent sometimes. It's very rare though. It's not as much. I'm gonna go back to the gym today, so we'll see if that helps. But I might wake up like mega. See you next Tuesday tomorrow. So that'll be interesting. But I'm just I'm having to test my limits, and I'm having to see like what I can actually do so that I can have a bit more confidence both in my body and in my mind. You know, it's like I have to continue to try and continue to do things. I have certain financial goals going into December, and I want to try to do it because most of the time, you know, my work is typically at its best in December, and I couldn't do it the last few years because I would get so sick every single December. Even last year, I could still keep going, but I had to eat a lot to like get through it. And this time I'm going to try to be, you know, bumping that weight loss. Like I'm going to try to be losing weight in December. That's going to be kind of the eye of the storm, probably like one of the hardest times, but it's like I have goals. Like I told you guys, I have activistic goals. I have other goals that involve losing weight by a certain timeline. I want to be done next year. Like I said, like I really am tired of being in a deficit. It's been going on for so long. So it's like I'm tired of, like, I want to be done so bad. Because it's not like the worst thing ever. Like I'm not hungry, I'm not this, I'm not that, but it does kind of change your perception of life a little bit. It makes it a little bit darker, a little bit more negative, and it's just like your body is not, it's kind of like being in a constant fast, you know. It's like a very light fast. So it's like you're always thinking of these deep spiritual things. You're always like, you know, your mind is going certain places a lot of the time. Like your body is a little bit stressed all the time, right? Like there's just all these different things. And when it goes on for a long time, there's a little bit of fatigue, you know. And I took a break on Halloween. I did. And I don't regret it. Like I ate as much as I could for 2 days. I was like, because I was starting to get hungry and I was concerned about November because I gained weight last year. I didn't want to gain weight this year, so I was like, we're going to eat and eat and eat. And my appetite was starting to go down while I was doing it, and I was able to go right back after and still not hungry now. So I don't think the seasons have as much of a grip on me. It has been unseasonably warm, but it's still dark. And really, like your thyroid and stuff, it focuses more on the light. It's not about like the temperature as much. The temperature does matter, but it's really about the length of days. And you can't like cover that up to your body. Like your body knows. So it's like seeing that, and then I'm still kind of continuing. It's working. I'll see how it gets when it gets cold. I'm just concerned about hunger because I'm not going to sit here and just starve. I'm not doing that. But like I said, if it's something like I just need salt, like I did yesterday, it's fine. I'll just have the salt. But sometimes it's boring. You know, when you're obese and you're trying to lose weight, like it's different. It's more of like a foodie thing. It's like, oh gosh, like I really want some cake right now. You know, it's like that kind of thing. But it's like, it's not within my calories, blah, blah, blah. I could plan for it or something. It's like you have to think about it a little differently. And so it's just not really, it's a little bit boring as far as like food wise. But last night, and it's challenging. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to knit. So I knitted. I watched the British baking show on Netflix. And I don't know if that was a good idea, but I was fine with my hot sauce, you know. I just had a little bit and then I was fine. So it's like, you have to make concessions. You have to kind of do things. I do intermittent fasting a lot too, which I'm going to try to chill out on that because I think that could be why I was hungrier too. But for some reason when I eat, it's like I just want to eat everything and then I just want to be done. So yeah, I'm going to try not to do that like more than 2 days in a row. I was like going on day number 3 of intermittent fasting. So I was like, oh, that's a little harsh. So today I'm not going to, but I'm planning on going back to the gym so I have more calories, right? It's like I can kind of work with things more. But yeah, I mean, that's really been what's going on. I'd say it's still tough sometimes. Like, I don't like feeling really, really raw, which that does happen still. Like, on a physical level, I do feel raw sometimes. And like the estrogen cortisol alarm clock and like kind of these bitchy, like really angry feelings that I get sometimes. It's tough. Like, I'm still very, very Scorpio, as I told you guys. So much so. I'm just like, it's like I feel like that a lot. But I also feel happy a lot too, which is fine. I used to feel this way when I was keto too, which is funny. So I think it's just like a massive fat burning phase. Like, I'm doing it. My metabolism is still improving or still improved from years of cutting out seed oils, from years of going to the gym. It's just a different circumstance. And I'm working very hard now. Like, I'm working a lot of hours and walking a lot and doing stuff throughout the day while I'm working. So it's a lot. And it's good. And it's a challenge, and I'm taking the challenge because I need to. And I think for me, it's like, I just need to get out of this. I'm so close, you guys. Like, I'm over halfway. I'm 32% body fat now. If I get to 29.9, I'm no longer obese. That's incredible. And I think, even being in just obesity, it's so much better than being morbid. I still have hypoventilation sometimes, but it's so much less. Like, everything just gets less. Everything becomes more manageable. And because I'm like, really trying to catch up in life, I have to be really, really ambitious. And so I have to work really hard all the time. But I'm able to. And I think that that's, that effort that it took to get out of super morbid obesity, I have that in me now forever. I know how to find the drive no matter what is happening at all in the world or whatever. Like, I know what to do, or like outside of myself, I know how to find that and continue to go hard because I was dying and I came back, which again is very Scorpionic, kind of funny to say, but it is. So I'm really like looking at that part of myself. This is a trait, this is a part of me that I'm always going to have probably for the rest of my life, because clawing my way out, and I do feel like that's what it was, clawing my way out of super morbid obesity, it gave me this ability that I can use in other areas, and I'm using it financially and in other areas as well. So it's like I can still utilize that ambition that, it was quite an ambition to get out of super morbid obesity. Like, I sometimes don't remember how big I was, or I don't think about it until I do. And I'm like, wow, I was really, really big. It's getting to a point where it's really a dramatic weight loss. It's changing a lot of aspects of my life. But internally, it's not as much change internally as it was in morbid obesity. Even when I was approaching morbid obesity last October, October 2023, I had an identity crisis. I would say like morbid obesity to me, it was such an internal struggle, whereas obesity, it's different. It's more of a social struggle. It's more of like, you have those difficult things of like, I don't know how people are reading me. You don't know what you're going to get with people. People are noticing that I've lost weight in public. And then people are probably like, oh, you're fat. It's like weird. You don't really know where you stand. And as an introvert, that part is hard. And I do plan on talking about things a lot more on the interpersonal level next year, but I'm still kind of processing it right now and figuring things out. But it's like, I'd say it's definitely more of a social struggle in the obesity phase, because I know who I am now. You know, it's like I'm okay inside, and then I'm not dying physically like I was. So with those issues over, it's like you start to turn outward. And it's like I'm always thinking about how am I being perceived? But then it's not like a fearful way. It's just something that I'm always considering because I don't know. And that's hard. So I think it's like I have to kind of work on I have to work on a new perception of me. And I think that that's difficult because to cultivate that, it's extroverted. It's an extroverted thing to do. And it doesn't come naturally to me. It doesn't. So I'm going to be thinking about that a lot probably next year. I think next year especially will be a lot of interpersonal dynamics, which, you know, I may be introverted, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it for the cause. I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to do it. I'm going to report it to all y'all, all my introvert girlies and boilies, because I want you to know things, you know, and I can bring that perspective, and I'm willing to do it. I'm about it, period. I am about it. We're doing it on this channel. We lose the weight on this channel, period. We're doing it publicly, period. It is hard, but we're doing it because to me, it's like, I can do it. I can do this. So I'm doing it, but it's tough. You know, some of the practical stuff, it was tough. It's tough. There are sacrifices when it comes to activism and stuff, but it's fine. I think it'll come through. But it's like, there's been a lot of times where I've had to be like, do you really want to do this? And the answer is yes. And so we're doing it. So I'm here. But yeah, you have to like, I think when you're losing weight, you're always going to have to find that grit, especially from being super morbidly obese. There has to be grittiness to you so that you can get out, and you have to develop it honestly, for survival purposes. But I think my biggest issue now is just, I'm looking towards the future and I'm thinking, okay, like, what if things get better? What if I have more money? You know, part of what's keeping me on track is that I don't have the money to eat more. I don't. And that's kind of a dark statement, but it's also like something that is keeping me on track. And I technically don't need to eat anymore. Like, I'm not starving or anything, but I can't afford to not be in a deficit. So it's like, what about when I can in the future? What am I going to do? You see, it becomes about more willpower. What am I going to do in the future when I have a boyfriend and I'm having conversations about food and these kinds of things with him? How am I going to handle that? Like, it's different when you're a tortured lesbian and you're single and, you know, terminally single and all these things. I don't have that kind of distraction. But what about in the future when I do have a boyfriend? You see, so I think about, like, how am I going to handle when things are not as dark or when things are better? Because that is also a trigger for overeating. And I don't want to be complacent. But I think it will really help me just to be at maintenance in a better time. But it's like, I got to lose the weight when things are still kind of shitty. You know, it's the best time because it is what it is. There's no reason to waste this time. And it is difficult. It's a difficult time. For a lot of different reasons, it's difficult. So it's like, let's do this, you know. We got this. I can do it. As Taylor Swift says, I can do it with a broken heart. No, I'm just kidding. I can do it. I don't have a broken heart at this point, but I do kind of resent the past. I resent my past self a little tiny bit, just a little bit. I try not to, but I do get angry over it because I'm just like, oh my God, like, I'm just like, Alex, what the fuck? Like, this was always the path. And it's like, I know that I had to go through everything I went through to get to this path, but my Scorpionic side, which I'm a Scorpio rising, by the way, I'm actually a Leo, I'm not a Scorpio, but I'm a Scorpio rising, and it's very strong, and you can tell. I'm literally an autumn. You can tell. But anyways, my Scorpio side is still mad. It's like, it's still mad about it. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, objectively, I had to go through all that I did to get to this point, but my Scorpio side is still like, but why? But why though? But why? So that's still like, that pitch is still there, but it's more turned at myself, which I have to be careful with it. Obviously, I'm not going to be too crazy about it. It's not like about like my body or anything like that. It's like about me, like as a person. Like, why were you so stubborn? That's what I feel. And it's like, that's like the Scorpio. You can see it's strong. It's real strong in me. But like I said, that Scorpionic grit, that's really keeping me on track too. And that is a part of me. And you got to find the parts of yourself that are going to keep you on track. And even if the parts of yourself that used to get you off track, like my Scorpio side used to make me very obsessive and into the toxic ritualistic side, you fold it in on itself and you shift it. You shift the direction of these parts of yourself. And that's how you do it. That's how you do it. I'm never going to get rid of my inner Scorpio, which I don't want to anyways. I love it, truly. But I have to use it correctly. And I am. Because that survivalism of my inner Scorpio, that grit, that tenacity, and honestly, even ambition, it's all still there. So it's a paradox. Like, you change when you lose weight, but you also don't. And you have to work with these qualities of yourself to find a balance. And I don't know what qualities you're going to have. Like, I can't literally tell you. But I do think it is worth reflecting upon. Even if you are extroverted, I think it's important to reflect upon these things from time to time. Just as if you're introverted, you got to get out of the house, babe. Get out of the house. If you think that you are going out enough, you're not. That's my advice for an introvert. Go out more. You're not. You're not. If you're extroverted, it's okay. If you want to stay in, go ahead and stay in. If you're introverted, get your ass out of the house. Because you're going to go crazy. Introverts go crazy when we don't get out enough. Anyways, you guys, I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. I hope you enjoyed this. I will talk to you soon. Bye.